Kuflan Gimel, started in the minor. We're starting from the third line from the bottom of the top section. There's a half line which we don't count. The line begins Umeir Behu Kulum B'Shov. So we started with explaining what has been already discussed previously. That there is two norm of oil makif, which is an oil poshut, which means it's an oil which does not have any identifiable markers. It's an oil that simply represents Elokus directly, purely. And there are no different madrigas in it. This oil is present and encompasses all madrigas in total equality. The motion for this, so that we should be able to relate to this whole concept, is that in the Guf HaOdam, there are many different qualities. And then on top of all that, top of all the qualities, there is one element that's called life itself. Moreover, not life only, but a human life. In order that there should be Koyah HaDibur, for example, in the human being, you cannot install Koyah HaDibur without there being an essence, what's called a human essence. You cannot install Koyah HaDibur in an animal. There is, by the way, we all know there is the parrot that is able to repeat words, sounds, and quite correctly. This is not what we would define as dibur, as speech. This is sounds. What in fact is the difference between the human speech and that of the parrot? Human speech is created by the human spirit to express himself, to express a certain principle that is contained deep down in his soul, that he relates to, that he considers to be correct or incorrect. And the speech is merely expressing it external to someone who's not aware of what's going on in his internal workings. The speech is not the sound of the speech, it is the message that's in the speech. This is human speech. And that speech cannot be installed in a creature that does not have this whole process of contemplation, of evaluation, of value of life. An animal that is only able, that only knows of his physical experiences, he cannot install speech in the true sense of the word. He's got nothing to express. This is only to demonstrate the principle of makif, that there is a superior oil, literally a superior oil, that cannot be captured in any particular keli, in any particular form. You cannot really define what it is. And this is the platform, this is the means by which, this is the background that enables there to be functional koichos. You cannot have a function without there being a reality behind it. And this is what we explained, that there is the oir makif, which is oir pashut. And he says oir pashut. Be'etzem means in essence. It is not a pashut because you straighten it out. It is in essence an oir pashut. Let me explain this earlier. We are learning it to try to, because every word helps eventually to understand what the richness of the Rebbe is trying to say. What means a pashut be'etzem? We can take, for example, this piece of paper, fold it over. Before you fold it, it's pashut. When you fold it, it's no longer pashut. But this initial pshitus is not pashut be'etzem. This is not what defined what a piece of paper is. And the proof of that is that you can take a piece of paper and burn it. That means it's not, in essence, a pashut. At this particular moment, in this particular situation, it's pashut. It has not yet been defined and sized out, but it absolutely could be sized out. Because no matter how big it is and how pure it is a presence within a finite reality. It has to have a finite size, and it definitely within this reality it can be changed to have certain forms and so forth, folded up and so forth. Oy pashut be'etzem is a completely different concept. In general, the term etzem, we will eventually try to bring out the inference in the word etzem. One way that we can begin to think about what's meant by etzem, pointed out many times. The difference between a human creation and divine creation. A human being can create a very complex machineries, complex things. A computer, very complicated. And the divine creation, like a human being, is a very complicated, complex creature. What's the difference between the divine creation and the human creation? And in fact, there is a fundamental difference. And let us take it from a practical viewpoint. Divine creation, human body, which consists of 365 different parts. All of these 365 parts merge perfectly into one entity, to the extent that if, God forbid, there's some kind of a damage, a separation in the parts, you can then bring it back together and cause them to rejoin. Because there is an overall reality in this union, and each part recognizes its counterpart, and it goes back together. Really, it's an amazing phenomenon, but this demonstrates the principle that this entity, yes, it's put together from many different parts, but there is a divine spirit that identifies this whole entity, which consists of 365 units. But he identifies it as one. And when he created it, he didn't create 265 different pieces and then put them together. He created one entity called a human being. This is Poshut Be'etzem. Its essence, its very definition, beginning, its very definition is an essence. Essence means, let's go back to essence. Essence means this is what God created. This is not an afterthought. This is not something developed during the process of creation. This is the essential, the initial creation as it was conceptualized before it was created, with all its details. That's what to add. And because of this essential truth about it, this is why even if it falls apart, it will grow back together. Because there's an essential union, truth about it. And this growing back together is a little growing back. They connect to each other from an essential perspective, not because they're stitched together, but they actually recognize one another. They grow together. In contrast, anything that a human being builds, which consists also of parts, and these parts work by various interactions among them. But these interactions are very superficial interactions. These are not interactions that they recognize, that they relate to. And if there is a kind of break, you have to do it all over again. There's no saying, I'm going to bring you to you have a wheel in a car, and 4 wheels. The wheels are identical. When they're put into the car, each wheel has its particular place. If you take one wheel off to change a tire, and another wheel off, and then you put it back, the right wheel you put on the left side, and left side wheel to put on the left side, nothing happens. There's not going to be a protest. It doesn't fit here. They're all identical wheels. There is no cognizance on the part of the car that this is my wheel and this is my wheel. Because in essence, they are individual entities.
Is this another way of saying man never makes life? He makes doing.
He does not make an essence.
Man does not make essence.
An essence.
Okay.
even after it works perfectly together, they're all individual entities that work in a certain way. Each one does its own thing. The fact that they're coordinated has nothing to do with them.
Right, which seems to be another way of saying it's not alive. It's not alive.
True, but you're jumping the gun a little bit. No, you're saying, where do we find such a thing in life?
Oh.
But first you have to understand the meaning from essence itself. The word etzem is a very profound word, and time to time I use the opportunity to make us focus on it. Etzem means this is the way it was intended. This is what was created. No matter how complex, there's an essence that permeates and encompasses the entire complexity. So there are no multiple parts. There's only one reality. This is how it is in makif. So poshut be'etzem. Poshut be'etzem, even though it is not poshut at all. It encompasses so many different things. But it encompasses all these things from a Peshitas perspective. Because all of these parts complement one reality. Just as a human being, if he's lacking a finger, a toenail, he's missing something. Even though functionally he can make it out, he's missing something. This is not how a human being is supposed to be. So the pshitas of the human being is that he has all toenails. This is identified on this level of what the concept of a human being is. This is pshat, a poshut be'etzem. No matter how many details you attach to it and how many details it accommodates, it remains poshut be'etzem. And this poshut be'etzem, no matter where it expresses itself, no matter where it is captured, in any detail, it remains aloof. This is what he said at the end, that it's not the hislapshus. Hislapshus means it becomes part of the place where it functions. I will leave it for now. There's much more to say. Okay, now 4 lines from the end of this section. The line begins, Umeya bekulam b'shabbat. First, let me again address the term meir, oir, and it shines in all of them, b'shabbat. To explain that, we have to step away a little bit. We already spoke in the past. The phenomenon that when the Rebbe created light the first day, so it says had to be concealed, stored away, because it was not fit for world. What was unique about this ocean illumination, among other things, that there was no luminary. A light that comes directly from a divine source doesn't fit into world. It would completely nullify worldliness. So that's why it had to be concealed. And instead, it was brought back with a different structure. There's now a luminary, a source, a sun, which actually reproduces the similar oil as it was B'Yem Rishon. The ocean illumination was an oil that encompassed the entire creation in a very pshitusic manner, that was complete without any identifying contours. This one is here, this one is here. It illuminates everything equally. The sunlight has a similar effect. This is what it's called day. Day is not recreated. We can't recreate by artificial light. Day is a divine creation. That's why it says in the Torah that the REBBE should give the name day. Day is not something which we call as a result of light. It is a divine nomenclature. Only God can identify it with a name. To us, it's always going to be light. But this name of day that encompasses the entire reality of light, this is a divine identity. Let us focus in a little bit. What makes day day? Yes, indeed, it's light spreading all over the place. But that's light. Why can't we duplicate this light? The uniqueness of day is not the light that spreads all over the place. As a matter of fact, in today's day, they play sports, baseball in the middle of the night, and they illuminate the arena with such a light that it's light, perfectly light every place, and doesn't make it day. An interesting Indian. We don't usually pay attention to this, but Chassidus does pay attention to this. And it says that what makes day day? The sun itself is what makes day day. It is not the sunlight. Sunlight is only a representation of it. The Indian is, when sun rises, it becomes day automatically. What's so unique about the sun? The uniqueness about the sun is that this is the source of light. This is what's called, has oy be'etzem. It is vihiri be'etzem. It is not a light artificially created from heat or whatever it is. It is a ball of light. And if we reflect on it, we are living in a world that everybody knows, the whole world, the Ebershon's world, and we can put it into a normal human worldly terms, but it's false. Nobody can conceptualize of a ball of fire that should continue to burn for 5,000 years without diminishing an iota. 5,000 years. How much fuel is there in it? Even if it were based on fuel, then you should say it's coming with a reduction of fuel. There's no reduction. It's a divine creation. Perfectly a divine creation. It's a complete etzem of light. It is not a light due to its heat and so forth. It's an etzem of light. Behiri be'etzem, that's the expression in Chassidus. When this Behiri Be'etzem shows up, then becomes day. Not because it spreads its light, it makes like day. This is Be'etzem. Oir Poshut Be'etzem means it has an essence behind its presence. Like the essence of the sun, for example. And this essence presents its reality from a real perspective, not by virtue of spreading everywhere, by its presence, whatever it is. Again, the way to give us a grasp of thought in our limited thinking process, a human being owns a home. The home may be as big as the Empire State Building. And he, by owning this home, is instantaneously, automatically present everywhere in every one of the floors and rooms of this Empire State Building. There is not, like I said the other day, many times you pointed, if somebody crawls into your attic, you have a 5-story home, and then you have an attic. Somebody crawls into your attic and says, I'll make home over here. I don't need it. I'll come from to the chimney. I'm not bothering you. Will you let him stay there?
No.
What?
No.
You will not. I had an experience of this. I was traveling once on the airplane, with a liberal guy. And he said, yeah, why not? He doesn't have a place to live. Okay, I said, I know. Yeah. But a half hour later, he says, I don't think I would let him stay. Once he got to realize that you are a human being and there's truth to a human being, makes no difference. Whereas he's walking on you wherever he walks. You are present in the entire house, even though you're present just in your little office. That's what I add. A human being is given by God an essential presence. He was created, but so many people saying this is how he was created. He didn't become wise after he practiced his wisdom. He was created as a human being, but so many people saying he was given a divine reality. And that is there from moment of birth, and it doesn't have to be developed. He owns a home. He owns a home. Every crack and crevice of that home is automatically filled by his presence. This is not Etz. Only God can create an Etz. And this is, okay, coming back, this is the term oir. What's the term oir? The essence, the sun is a body, is a fire body, is a physical body. What is the effect of the sun upon the world? Again, I'm bringing back the point. What makes day? Day is not the light of the sun, but the sun itself. Presence of the sun, this is what makes day. What effect is that the sun have upon the world? In what way does it become day? This is called oir. Oir means the message that the sun gives to the world. What is the message of the sun to the world? That there is such a thing as an essence of brightness, a bright essence. Behiri be'etzem. This message, behiri be'etzem, this is what illuminates the whole world. This is the oil of the sun, not the light that spreads from the sun. The light, the oil of the sun, the effect of the sun upon the world, and he said, is not the light, it is the sun's presence itself. This sun's presence tells the world there is an essence of a bright essence. And this bright essence has an effect upon the world in an oil manner. What is it? It encompasses the whole world. It says, you're not dark anymore, you are bright. Not because I bring you light. I'm taking you over, like the Posik says, the sun rules the day. It illumines it, it rules the day. Because it takes over and it claims the world to itself. Because it's an etzem. An etzem claims its entire environment to itself. Just like a human being owns a home, he doesn't have to go around every room to claim it. He claims it automatically because it's his home. And he's there automatically. He owns it, he takes it over, he encompasses it. This is why only a human being can own a home, can own anything. An animal cannot own anything. It's halachically. And any person with a little brain little spirit in his brain understands that an animal cannot own anything. Why not? Why not? Because an animal does not have that intellect, that life force, that he can project his existence beyond his physical presence. A human being is not limited to his bodily presence. He is present in the entire reality. He cannot exist in his body. He exists in the whole world. And he claims the whole world. This is what I exist. And if you confine him in a small area, it's a torture. And you take away his world from him. In the prisons, when people are in prisons, so those prisons that have a little bit recognition of human suffering, give a little deference to the human being, even if this is a solitary confinement, they will leave a crack in the wall of someplace that human being can climb up and see the rest of the world. For that moment, he becomes a human being. This human quality, this is called oyer. The oyer, the effect and the all-encompassment of the reality of this little entity called the human being. And this is why when a human being owns a home, he is instantaneously everywhere, no matter how large a home is.